Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our live stream tonight. Let's see who we've got here in the chat. Actually, give me a thumbs up if you're hearing everything okay. So, let's see. Wow, look at you guys. I'm so happy to see everyone. Let's see. Carrie's here. Oh, and he said he had memories, didn't drink too much coffee when he was in the Navy, but when he got out in 95, was when he tried a Starbucks and he was hooked. And Dyson has recognized that I'm downstairs, so he says hello to you as well. Oh, and Lisa says she has a French roast Starbucks coffee in the cabinet and gets it from Costco when on sale. Not her favorite. Let's see. Oh, and our awesome moderator, our friend Auntie, is here. So, hasn't been a Starbucks fan for a few years and very sporadically since March 2020. Same, because we used to go frequently because it was right by the corner on the way out. And Lisa, let's see. Hello, Lisa. Lisa's here. Just Jen is here. Hi, Sharon. Good evening. Glad to see you join us. And I see Hungry Heath saying he can't chat. He's eating a bowl of spicy, creamy beef stew. That sounds amazing. Let's see. Who else do we have? Oh, and Visual Keto. Hey, good evening. Good to see you here. We've thoroughly enjoyed the coffee you sent us. Let's see. And the warden is here, also having dinner. Let's see. And J-Dog. Hey, J-Dog. Nice to see you. And of course, Attila, welcoming everyone, our other awesome moderator, my best companion, and Rocky Mountain Girl. Hey, good to see you. Let's see. I mean, lots and lots of hellos back and forth. So, oh, and Pumpkinator is here. So good to see you tonight, Renee, and Rickwin, and Crafty and Carnivore-ish. Wow. So it's a full house tonight. And Airfryer Nanny says, yes, that basically all Starbucks needed was to be less available. Very much agreed. Oh, and Carrie is letting us know he's on 345 days, no coffee or caffeine. We're going to have to celebrate a little bit when you hit the year. So, I have my coffee going. I have my V60 prepped. I just finished grinding the coffee for tonight. And like Lisa said, I also picked it up at Costco. It's a big bag, so we had to find a way to make it palatable because I bought the big bag. And hey, good evening, Carla. Nice to see you tonight. And Carla has joined us. Let's see. So I will say, when you open the bag, the beans don't smell bad. Actually, they smell weirdly, almost Robusto-ish, but that's because of the really dark roasting they do. And Starbucks does a lot of, the same thing that we talked about before, where you do the hot and fast, only they take it all the way to the extreme, almost to a burn, but then they back it off just before it does. And that is why people often say their coffee is bitter, because then they brew it in-house, and instead of doing anything specialty to it, they are focused on the fact that general society needs hot coffee, hot. And they have high turnover, so it's hot and fast speed brew. Now, I'm going to just tuck this away. Right on my little counter there. Let's see. Oh, and Pumpkinator says they've been watching my videos, been in a little funk, and haven't been commenting on many. You know what? I think that happens to all of us. Things ebb and flow, but hopefully you'll be back on it soon and you'll feel better and happier. And I have 9 million things on this table, and we will talk about them. And Carrie says French roast is like a chocolate smell, very dark roast. Yes, exactly. The dark French roast is pretty much as dark as you can get. And when I grind it, instead of that nice Robusto adjacent nutty smell that you get right out of the package of the whole bean, you start to get that tinge of the bitter scent following it. But here's the thing. You know how I tell you grind on about a 3 for pretty much almost every coffee? So you want to be a little chunkier for this coffee. Hey, Tutu Cat. Nice to see you. I'm glad. Welcome for your first time. I know we've seen each other on other lives. So, Oh, and the warden brought up a good point. Their nitro cold brew is really good. There's my scooper. I couldn't see my scooper. It was on the dark part. It was blending in. So I have prepped my filter. We're using the V60 so that it has its best chance at being deliciously successed. And J-Dog says Starbucks also owns Seattle's best. Most of Kirkland's from Costco is made by Starbucks. That is correct. That's also why they happen to be pretty harsh if you're not real careful brewing them. So I'm just going to put my my coffee into my filter. Make sure that I've suspended. And so I actually ground it more on a 3.5 instead of 3 because of how dark it is. The other thing is when we're brewing our coffee, we almost always brew between 195 and 205. I've brought the temperature down on my water to 187. So we're going to use a lower temperature and a chunkier grind. We're also not going to let this sit as long as we sometimes do. Lisa says the B60 is her favorite brewing vessel. I agree. Well, obviously, because we use it all the time. I have another one that I keep meaning to share with everybody, and then I'm like, but the 360 or the V60. So, oh, and the ward's going to brew some new tea. What was the tea? I'd love to hear about it. But we're going to go ahead and bloom this. You're still going to do all your normal procedures. I made a little divot in the center, and now I'm pouring just enough water to get all of the grounds wet so they can expand. And we'll give that about 30 seconds. So, goodness. Yeah, so it was a little bit of chaos here, and I'm sorry, like I was like right on the dot, 6:30, pushing the button. I didn't even do the countdown proper because at the last minute, I decided since the muffins or cupcakes or whatever you want to call it that I'm going to make mentioned that they're not that sweet, even though from the ingredients, I feel like they might be sweet to me. I decided to bump it up a notch, and this, I'll add it to the description after the fact, but I made a peanut butter frosting. I don't know. I used heavy cream, a splash of vanilla, and peanut flour, and just whipped it all together in a big frenzy. So not real frosting or anything like that. And when the muffins are hot, when we put it on there, it'll melt, and that may help too with any sort of dryness we might have. All right, so we usually forget about this and leave it for a bit longer, but we definitely don't want to do that with this particular brew. Carrie says James Hoffman does a lot of videos on the B60. It's the ridges in there. It does something about the coffee. Oh, Tutu Q Cat, no worries. We got you on the coffee. And so now I'm going to start again in the middle and do my swirls and fill it up to the brim with the water, and we'll let it sit. You know how we normally let it sit like 4 or 5 minutes? We're only going to let this steep for like 2 minutes, which is why we're going ahead and moving forward with making the entire coffee before we start baking. We can chat while we bake. And I forgot to bring the jar down so I could show you the label on the seed and nut butter that I got. But I think most of you will be familiar with it, and if not, well, I'll show you somewhere. But it's basically the original recipe. This is a recipe that was done by All Day Long I Dream About Food, and the person who runs that and does all of the recipes in the baking, which by the way are phenomenal, her name is Carol, and she's genius. So a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, she posted these protein muffins, and I don't have peanut butter in a jar, but it was also using this vital protein collagen coffee. So I got that because I was getting all of the stuff for OhioCon, the non-perishables, and I was like, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's try them out. And I thought, what better way to try it out than to make them on our live stream. So I've made some modifications to the recipe, and we'll talk about that. And the first thing is she used pecan butter. and I used the Kirkland seed butter. Now, the main reason I did that is because I followed directions and I read all of her blog posts. Time to brew. It looks lovely. And it smells actually quite nice now. So, so that's a good thing. We are liking that it's not as harsh as it could be. And I will also tell you, always buy whole bean if you're gonna go with the Starbucks coffee. Don't buy the pre-ground kind because you can't adjust it. Getting that slightly chunkier grind is crucial to fixing it. There's no quiz this week to QCat. Hey Susie, nice to see you tonight. Happy Sunday. Oh, and Pumpkinator says I mentioned the jar and it cued the Whiskey in a Jar song. So, yeah, now that's going to be stuck in a lot of people's heads. So, and a little bit more fluid to do a second draw, but we aren't going to hold it. We're just going to put the water in and let it pour through. That's the other thing. Like I said, it's a much shorter brew and with a faster drawdown than your average brew. And that's to accommodate for the harsh roasting technique that they use on the Starbucks coffee beans. So we'll be good to go there. But so anyways, back to the peanut butters. Oh, and Lisa says she wishes the chocolate Vital Proteins were unsweetened. She's not liking the sweetness. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it. And that's why I thought when they said that this recipe wasn't sweet, I was like, they've got to be insane because this is a crap ton of sweetener and this is sweet too. And I think nut butters, even when they don't have sweetener in them, taste fairly sweet. So, I don't know. But I also know that when it comes to sweetness, I'm over on this scale of don't need very much sweet. And most other people are over here on where they are in their sweetness tolerance. All right. We are ready. I just made a small cup this evening just in case. And J-Dog says he just posted pictures of his bacon-wrapped kielbasa smoked on the Traeger today. I saw that picture and I was thinking, I have some kielbasas and I have a smoker, a pellet smoker. All right, so I did manage to make this. It's actually a little bit lighter than some coffees that we've brewed in a visual appeal, and that is not a bad thing because it is the dark French wort. And J-Dog, you're going to spoil things. But that's all right. Well, cat's out of the bag. So I hope you guys know that it's the warden's birthday. Not exactly today. Actually, I don't know which exact day, but I know that we've been saying happy birthday to the warden on all our live streams. I was going to wait till after I had frosting on a muffin, but now that it's out there. So, all right, but that was it. Was that not like the fastest coffee we've ever made? That's the key, though, with this. Chunky grind, fast brew, lower temperature. And it's still very strong and slightly bitter. So, did we save it? Save it? If you're a black coffee drinker, you will taste the harshness. If you are going to bulletize this, or if you add sweetener and cream, it will mellow down just a smidge. But it's definitely improved. It's drinkable now. That's what I will say. It's drinkable. It's not something where I'm like, oh, I want that coffee so bad. It's like, you know what? I love my coffee and I need some, so I will have it. Anyway, so I'm going to set this down and get it out of the way. And I'm going to open my seltzer water, which is what I've got tonight because I'm really thirsty, and I'll talk to you guys about now. And Carrie suggests some espresso powder in the coffee. Yeah, not tonight. I know that the caffeine doesn't really affect me, but that might be pushing it. And again, now that's some of my fun stories for later. But all the lower temperature and stuff, that's where I was talking about. I have a mess. Yeah. So I'm going to back up and get us back on track. On Carol's original recipe for these chocolate protein muffins, she used pecan butter. First of all, I didn't have pecans to make pecan butter, and I looked at prices at the only grocery store in town where I could find it, and oh my goodness, they wanted way too much money. But I looked at the comments, and I saw a lot of people who said they tried to use peanut butter, and even some who used almond butter said their batter came out so thick that instead of muffins, they sort of made a very dense kind of almost soft cookie thing that they didn't enjoy as much. I read in the blog several ways to fix it. But I thought, why don't I just get something more akin to the texture of the pecan butter? Oh, Carrie, that's a good one today. So he made a joke. He says, watch out because the butter would pecan on you. Pecan on me. I gotta say it right. Anyways, but this seed mixture, which is, I wanted to bring the jar down and I just didn't get to it, is a mixture of nuts, but no peanuts, and a bunch of seeds. It has chia seeds and flax seeds and stuff like that in there. So it'll give it a little bit of a different crunch in there as well. But it's also very, very, it has a lot of viscosity to it, and it's very oily and not a solid butter. So like if you tried to put it on a celery, it would run right out of it. So that's why I chose this. I thought it had much better profile. So in her instructions now, we're going to go ahead and we have a whisk. We're going to have multiple devices here. And I'm going to add some vanilla. She used vanilla extract. I used vanilla. I guess it's vanilla extract, but, homemade. So I'm just going to dump that in. Let's see. Double checking myself. That was 1 teaspoon. She has a half cup. Now here's the change too, because I was not going to go buy special sweetener. She used Swerve Brown. I used Lakanto monk fruit erythritol blend, and because I knew that texture is an issue with that, I then whizzed it up a little bit in my bullet blender. So I'm going to dump that in right here. And that does feel like it's going to get very solid for whisking, but let's see. Anyways, so it is getting quite solid, so I can see how people might have been confused. Now, one thing I did was I paid attention where people were talking about their batter being too thick. So even though I have the 3 eggs her recipe calls for, when we look at it, if it looks like it's going to be too much, it's going to solid up. And Carrie's asking me if it's that super seed nut butter. Yes, it is. I brought down an extra egg, and we'll just use our judgment looking at the batter if we want to mix 1 more egg in. Because right now, it's just basically solid stuck in my whisk, which I hope is going to fix because as I add in the eggs. And I can see moisture on it, but as you can see. And J-Dog's asking about my thoughts on Sucre Gold. I actually love Sucre Gold, but I just don't have any. And what happened was I wound up with a bunch of the Lakanto because we had a keto store up here go out of business because he retired, not because of anything bad. He was just like, I'm older and dirt and I want to retire, so I'm closing my store, which was sad for us here. But so it was clearancing stuff, and I bought a ton of it dirt cheap. So it's not as delicious as the Sucre Gold, the texture is not as great as Sucre Gold, but I mean, I paid like $1 a bag for it, so that's what we will be using. Hey, Bluegrass Girl, good to see you. As I fling batter around, I am, and Bluegrass Girl is asking what I'm cooking, and we are making All Day I Dream About Foods chocolate protein muffins. I keep wanting to call them cupcakes because that's what it seems like to me. So anyway, so the next part here is then we're supposed to whisk in the eggs, and it is very big, very solid. So hopefully these eggs work it out and re-liquefy the batter. Let me just stack some dishes here, tidy up. And of course, whisking eggs in is always a pain because they just don't like to mix in real easy. They like to clump up and slide around on top of the batter, so it takes a minute. Let's see. Oh, and Rick Wynn is helping answer Bluegrass Girl. Let's see. Oh, and Just Jen says she found this, that she loves the samples of the Sucre Gold that we got and hoards them whenever she sees them. Yes, I agree. I'm a big fan of the Sucre Gold. It's usually worth the money. It's just, you know, when those bargains and deals come up, it's what you got to do. Or the stirring or the whisking. The other adjustment that I'm making is because I am going to bake this in my air fryer, which has a bake mode on it. When you use convection, and you can cook anything that you're supposed to bake in a regular oven, you can cook in your convection oven. But with convection, what you do is you have to, just like our coffee, lower the temperature and reduce the time. So that's what we're going to do. Oh, and Carrie says he just found a recipe for super seed nut butter to make at home. 1 cup of pecans, 1 cup of walnuts, 1 cup pumpkin seeds, 1 cup chia seeds, all blended up. Yes. All right. Finally, it's coming together. And I'm going to bring this, now that we remember I can come out from behind the table, I'm going to bring this up and show you the consistency it's at now and tell you I think for the moment I'm okay without mixing in the egg, but we'll see how it happens after we add half a cup of collagen powder, because I feel like that we might decide to add the egg. Hungry Heath is asking me, what's the difference between a muffin and a cupcake? The frosting, perhaps? Yes. So that's why also, since I made a frosting, it's probably a cupcake. Let me bring this up to the camera. Chat amongst yourselves so you can see it. Let's see. There you go. Boy, it's heavy though. So you can see that it's a very, very liquidy. It's really hard for me to hold it up so I can stir up there because I'm short. But you can see it's very pourable at this point. All right. So, all right. So I'm going to just give it a couple quick whisks real quick. And then the next steps is we're going to add our half a cup of the Vital Protein chocolate collagen peptides. And I say I'm adding a half a cup, but that would be helpful if I had brought my half cup measure. 2 seconds here. And let me, oh, that's all right. It won't hurt nothing. I'm going to throw my salt on the plate so I can use my little half cup here to get our collagen peptides. I knew I was forgetting something. What would it be if I didn't? You know, I'm 100% geek and not always so organized. So let's get our half cup of chocolate collagen peptides, give or take a little. But, oops. And it's very powdery. Do any of you, I know some of you have these, but have you used this before? What do you do with it? This is basically, I don't mind the plain unflavored ones, but I hardly ever buy sweet ones like that. And most of the time, I won't even buy collagen because I just use gelatin. I think gelatin adds great texture. That's why we put it in all my waffle batters. And Sharon says Dyson's wanting to come down and say hello. And that's true. He does want to come down, but you know what? He can just relax and watch TV or lay on his pillow and wait to go to bed. So I'm going to get this out of the way so I can start cleaning up my area a little bit. All right. And that's always the problem here. I probably, you know what? I'm going to switch now to the spatula. Let me get some of this off of there. I'm choking on the powder dust in the air. Let's see. So anyways, give me 1 second just to... Do you guys do that too? You must have like every last bit off before you switch utensils. There. All right, so we're gonna just mix that in. And I can definitely see why people said this was, their batter was thick as opposed to the All Day Dream About Foods, because I may decide to do that egg. I'm not sure yet, because this is not all we're adding in there. Right now, it's like a thick brownie batter. And here's another variation, because the next thing she has is cocoa powder, but this is Coffee Talk, and it's me. So we are adding 1 teaspoon of espresso powder, because that will play in super nice to it all. Let's see. Oh, the warden says she got chai flavored stevia drops and wow, added it to whipped cream. Oh, that sounds really cool. I love chai flavor. So, all right. I lost my drink. You guys, I'm so scattered. You know why I'm so scattered though? And this is what happens every time, and you know it. So last night we stayed out with OhioCon people. It was like, I don't know, almost midnight before I went to bed. And I think you all know that I usually go to bed around 8 o'clock because I am 150 years old in my heart. So let me set this here. All right, so that's my next variation. And then she adds cocoa powder. And I am swapping. She uses 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, but I am doing 1 tablespoon of black cocoa powder. And Carrie says that the espresso will amp up the chocolate. Correct. I want chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. And the black cocoa is going to give it a little bit of that extra cookie, chocolatey flavor. So we're adding 1 tablespoon of the black chocolate powder, black cocoa. And then 2 tablespoons of regular cocoa powder. And I promise that it is cocoa powder and not keto chow, but I think that you all know and recognize this cup, because it's just so, they're so convenient. And I don't know about you guys, but I have like 9 million of those scoops. So that's it. So 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. You give that a light bit of mix. And then the last thing that we're going to add is what's going to give these the lift. And that is the baking powder. It's a lot of baking powder. 2 teaspoons. That like blew my mind. I was like, wowie. That is a huge amount. I love to see you guys talking back and forth. It's so nice. Let's see. Oh, and the warden had to work on her birthday. What's up? All right. So I can see, I don't know, it is pretty thick now. but we will muscle through. I think too, sometimes though, like I said, I did alterations which may be impacting how loose or fluid the batter is. And I think that when other people were using things like peanut butter and making alterations and getting a different texture than described, well, duh. But you guys, I kind of wish that I had pecans, because you know what would be great in this? Chopped pecans. I'm sorry, it's brownie. It's definitely 100% brownie texture. And I am pleased with that. If I could just get that little bit of baking powder to disappear. Ah. Oh. Anyway, so I'm going to take another sip of coffee here before we turn on and preheat the air fryer. Got just like a couple little bits of stubborn cocoa powder balls, so that need to be mushed in. J-Dog, what? He says, if you can muscle through, can you also muscle shoals? You know, the smartassery on this channel sometimes. I love all our jokes, though. Yes, I do need to add the salt. Thank you. Now I also have to mix in the salt. Thanks for reminding me, Susie. That was really helpful, and I need all the help I can get. So, all right, then I'll just have to do more mixing, more. And I found another bit of cocoa powder. And it's all over the side walls. Oh. All right, so I really wish that I had also brought gloves down so that my finger wasn't going to get all dirty as we inevitably make a mess scooping it into the muffin tin. Hi, Jennifer. I'll be talking about the Ohio meetup shortly. So, that was a question asking about our Ohio meetup. And Carrie's asking, when using the air fryer, you need to check the temperature of the air. Not really. I mean, it's automatic. And if it's a joke, it went over my head because I am just having that kind of day. Darn cocoa powder. All right. Good enough. All right, so my batter is indeed really thick, and she describes her batter as pourable, but she also uses a cookie scoop. So I'm going to show you this final bit batter. I'll come around again. So you can see now it's definitely brownie batter texture. I know that's not like the most graceful pull there, but you can see that's definitely brownie batter texture. So I'm actually satisfied with that. Oh, it was a joke. Okay, yeah, I went over, like I said, you guys know I go to bed at like 8 o'clock, and instead I was awake, until midnight. Some things are just not going to go well. Yeah, Lisa, I missed whatever your question was, but it looks like you got your answer, so that's cool. It was the Super Seed Nut Butter from Costco. I love that stuff. So I'm going to hit bake. I'm going to adjust my temperature to 325. And I'm going to adjust the time. Now, the original recipe is in the oven, and it is for 350 for 18 to 22 minutes. I'm going to put 18 minutes on here, but it shouldn't really need more than 15 minutes. So we just have to check it along the way and keep an eye on it. So I'm going to get that preheat going. And I'm just going to take my scoop, you guys, my middle-sized scoop, which is the one that I needed really for this tonight, broke. So I only have the teeny tiny one or the big honkin' ice cream scoop. So I'm going to use this one and just not fill it the whole way to scoop it in and hope that I get 12. and hope that it scoops in there. There we go. And if we come back and add a little more because I was too chintzy, so be it. I actually won't be sad if we make brownies instead of muffins, because that is exactly how it looks. And I'll be honest, it doesn't look that different than hers. Or at least how they look on the internet. I can go by what the pictures I see on the internet and then the these things. Okay, I may have overdone that one. That's gonna be a big one. You know, so much for measuring, right? Like, yeah, I should be a little bit more cautious about things like that, but it is what it is. So, but yeah, so all this batter is doing a number on my ice cream scoop. It's very sturdy. But I love her recipes. You guys, I've never really had any of her recipes be a flop. So. And I always say, like, when I saw, like, some of the people complaining, but I was like, but you didn't actually follow the recipe. If I don't follow the recipe, I don't really feel that I'm going to complain about someone's recipe if I don't follow it. It's 100% my own fault. So I don't understand that attitude sometimes from people, but, you know, people, that's how it is. Oh, and Jennifer says same thing with her scoop. She broke the middle one and always seems to need that size. Yeah, I'll have to order more, but I'm not. All my expenditures right now, of course, are on the convention. Next week I have to buy. I mean, I bought an enormous. Well, we'll have to chat about this. Okay, I may have been over scooping because I don't know that I've got enough for 12, but we'll find out in a second here. Let me scrape the batter. I don't know. It's very sticky, which is not a surprise since it's collagen based. So yeah, I over scooped a few because I'm only going to get 11. I don't think I'm heartbroken by that. I just, like I said, I feel like I should have practiced the recipe, but it was last minute. It just started showing up. And I just thought, since my espresso custard based stuffed waffle wasn't ready, I've still got a little bit of kink to work out in the filling. So I thought this was great. And the warden says, right, she sees on the all recipes that they're like, I followed the recipe, but I changed this and added that. Well, this sucks, 1 star. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. Let's go ahead. I'm going to take some of these that are over full and make my 12th one out of it. I know. Here we are. It's not high class cooking. This is just nerds doing stuff in the kitchen. So, that works for me. You know, I know that if we were doing proper cooking, we would be weighing out as we scooped and using measurements. And that is just not how I'm doing it tonight. Maybe I should, but All right, there we are. 12, and actually they kind of all look very similar in size. So I'm not sad about it. I do need to wipe my finger off though. And Carrie says they look really good even though we can't eat them because of the coffee. Well, yeah, and the chocolate too. All right, in we go to the air fryer, and then we will go back and chat and talk. So, and there we go. Now we have all our time to just wait around. Give me a second to take a couple drinks, and then I will talk to you about several things all at once. And Bluegrass Girl says she's noticed too that she sees people asking them all the time, well, do I have to use that flour or that sweetener? And the answer is, you know, no, but you can't expect the same results. And Pumpkinator says it cracks her up when someone credits someone's recipe but changes it all up, leaving maybe one similar ingredient. You mean like I'm doing tonight on these muffins, where I'm making brownie cupcakes instead? At any rate, let's see. And then the warden says, let's see, I read that one. And J-Dog says, when he posts pictures of the foods he's cooked, he likes to post detailed directions so folks cannot have to guess if they wish to copy the recipe out. I do sometimes, and then sometimes I'm not so great about it. Oh, and Carrie says he had forgotten about the chocolate with the caffeine. Yeah, it's just unfortunate, Carrie. I will make some recipes that you can have at some point. Probably not right away. Some of my recipes you can. Actually, I want to make J-Dog's bacon wrapped kielbasa's though. It's not really a recipe for the live stream though. I mean, it could be, but I'm gonna wrap bacon around a hot dog. So, and then Air Fry Auntie says she does that, but usually the site's original recipe and then her changes and why. Yep, cooking is an art, baking is chemistry. Well, okay, well, I'm not doing either one of those things tonight properly in any way, shape, or form. We're winging it. So, all right, so the first other topic I want to talk about is that the KetOH-IO meetup. It's going to be February 25th, and we understand that weather may be an issue. We will keep an eye on it, and we are working with a venue. We are taking our lead, actually, from you, Jackie and Jennifer, and I'm talking with the Buffalo Wild Wings in Westerville. They've got they've got the ability to have a nice capacity for us. They said they'd be understanding. I've talked about the weather. I have one other place that I'm talking to, and I'm on the fence as to just signing on the dotted line. But that is going to be our next keto meetup. We will meet at noon so everybody can travel and also then have time to get home safely. And we will know a couple days ahead of time. We'll be watching the weather trends. I have a couple good friends who are really big weather nerds, and they will let me know as well. I've talked to them and said, hey, I want your assistance, so I'm not just using weather.com. So we will keep an eye on it. We'll make that call, and then Dawn and I are working on a secondary date for March, and we may schedule a meetup for March as well. It's going to be just a restaurant meal, not with giveaways or swag or anything like that, just in case. And that's also will be our fallback date if weather impacts and we can't have the KetOH-IO meetup in February. So. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, no, Pumpkinator. I was just giving you a shit. So, by the way, the coffee tastes better after sitting. So, like I said, I will have no problems drinking the coffee that I bought. It was dirt cheap. It's just not something that I'm going to reach for right out. And if I had to pick and choose and it was going against the Folgers, I'm throwing the Folgers in the trash, and then this would be, platinum blend. When we're getting right down to it. And we will do the same thing that you guys did in Indianapolis for the Buffalo Wild Wings. I will make sure that we have provided some wings for people to have, and then if you need to go above and beyond that, you can order some extras for yourself. But there will be a general pool of the Buffalo Wild Wings provided there. I've got some pretty nice things coming from some vendors for the meetup. It's going to be awesome. What questions do you have about the meetup? Anything new or different or stuff like that? Oh, and Jackie's saying she's putting some old school foam rollers in her hair. Oh, that's cool. That should be nice. The only problem I ever had with the foam rollers is that I was not careful, and then so like some hair would not be on the foam or sponge, and would get stuck in the little plastic on the side, and that sucked. And Jen is asking if I ever cook with MCT oil powder. That you have a bunch of it and you're not sure what to do with it. I do not. I've actually never used MCT oil powder. And then Carrie made another joke for us about my coffee being dirt cheap, that it must have been soiled. That was pretty good, very clever. So, but that was the Ohio. So that's the skinny on the KetOH-IO meetup. We'll put out Dawn's address relatively soon and make the formal announcement in like several of the Facebook groups so everybody can be on the know. We've actually, here locally, we have a keto group called the it's the Keto Ladies of Westerville, and they also are going to try, and some of them will also attend. I'll be keeping track of that and get everything straightened out for us. So should be quite the event, although probably chilly. Oh, Blue Dove said she likes the MCT oil powder in coffee. I just use regular MCT oil because I don't want to order one more product, I guess, even though I have like 9 million products. So. Air Fryer Auntie is talking about the weather where she's at, says they're experiencing bomb cyclones. I don't know anything about that, so wow, that sounds really unpleasant. And also Air Fryer Auntie is hoping for better afternoon weather to pick up her niece at the San Francisco airport. Yes, absolutely. Oh, and Rickwin is saying that that some of those bomb cyclones might make it to the East Coast. Wow. Oh, and Jackie says the next indie meetup will be in May, and we're meeting next week to work out details. That sounds cool. You know what would be kind of cool is maybe we should get together online at some point and talk, and maybe we can do something in between Ohio and Indiana. I don't know. That's crazy off the cuff talk. I don't know yet. It's not as if I don't have enough going on. Well, why should I? I probably shouldn't add things on. But, so you guys have been hearing about my convention coming up, OhioCon. It is really close now. So last night we had our big all hands meeting, and I think you guys would find it amusing because a lot of you also live stream, and we go to a lot of live streams. The person who was, we did a private YouTube live stream so that the people who weren't local could remote dial in and watch the live stream. Oh, that's a good tip. Rickwin says if we want to keep up with the winter weather, to look up the YouTube Ryan Hall y'all. He shows different models out there, and when there are events, he has a lot of storm chasers on his channel. That's awesome. Yeah, that's what my friends who are weather nerds, that's what they do, storm chasing. Cool. I'm definitely going to look that YouTube up. And Pumpkinator says everybody needs to keep that craziness out of Texas. 100%. You guys had your problems last year. And today's been an overcast blanket snuggle day for Sharon. That's kind of, admittedly, I sort of took today a little bit downtime as well. So my convention's coming up. We had this all hands meeting, and in order to the remotes, we did a private YouTube live stream. Now in test, of course, everything was perfection. So the person who brought all the equipment and everything set it up, and of course it seemed fine. It was going good right up to the last second when everything was not good. So we wound up starting like almost 30 minutes late because we couldn't get the audio on the live stream. Then the video was wonky. We had issues periodically throughout. And he was feeling so bad, and I was like, why? Nobody else really and truly cares, because anybody else who's been to YouTube or Twitch live streams knows it's not a good live stream without a technical issue bumping up. And the whole chat was just very chatty and friendly anyways. We got this. It's not a big deal. Oh, and Jennifer says it's too late. You already brought it up. Is it the INOH meetup or the OHIN? I am neutral on that. We should put the D, INDO, so it can be the Indo meetup. So, oh, and Rickman says, Renee to the rescue for Shelly and Heath. Yes. I'm going to take a peek. I know they're not done yet, but I can't help it. They smell nice. They are rising and looking nice. They're actually not far off. They're still a little bit wet on the top, so I'll leave them go. I kind of wish you can see them, but you'll see them when they're done. They have, in fact, puffed up and cupcaked. That's my technical baking term, cupcaked. So I made changes to the recipe and did not have any problems. So the people on her thread complaining are doing something wrong. So validated. And Jackie says, Richmond, Indiana and Eaton, Ohio are both border towns. We could look for a lunch place there. Yeah, I was thinking about that general area. That was where I was thinking. Would be pretty cool. I have zero capacity until after OhioCon, but if anybody else wants to take some initiative and look for potential venues, knock yourselves out. If not, once I'm done with OhioCon, I'll be focusing on the KetOH-IO meetup, but I can absolutely dive right in and take a look at some of that as well. And Carrie says, I didn't even have to use the extra egg. True. And Rocky Mountain Girl likes the term cupcaked. So I'm keeping it. But so the convention's coming together. We had a great meeting. And hey, Attila, if you are there, well, I hate to ask you, but if you are, oh, never mind. I'll save it for next week. I've packed them already. I wanted to show you guys the trophy. Oh my God. My director does hobbyist woodworking stuff with resin and wood. He made our trophies. They're a small statuesque trophy. The top is a sparkling poured cast resin, and the bottom is like a walnut, and he's inlaid the logo. It's amazing. Pumpkinator says I could coin the phrase cupcaked like cracked, but I feel like cupcaked might actually exist. I will have to Google it. So, but I've missed some kind of context somewhere because J-Dog is saying, are they rising? Mr. Mojo rising, the doors, LA woman. Oh, about the cupcakes, yes. And just Jen mentions that Cincinnati would be a cool meetup place. It is, but the traffic and the parking there is really horrible. Carrie also likes the term cupcaked. So anyways, it was really nice to see people. But after that, I was going to be generous and generous is not the right word, indulgent. I was going to be indulgent and have a diet soda afterwards because they went to a place called Land Grant, and it's a brewery here. And I thought, you know what? I'll have a diet. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going for it. I'm going to have a cocktail. If they've got diet, they can throw some whiskey in there, and I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to just, full bore indulgence. All off, living on the edge, you know. They ran out of diet soda. And then they said, oh, maybe we have a Diet Pepsi, but I would have drank it. In a can. We can use the can. And then they said, oh, sorry, we ran out of that too. So I had nothing to drink while everybody else was having drinks. beers. So I was just like, well, how about that? However, the atmosphere is really cool. They had geodesic domes outside. So, and they call them igloos. You reserve the igloo, and your little group goes in the igloo. And I just thought that was super cool. And it was really nice because it was just a few of us from our department gaming, hanging out together and chatting after the meeting. And I thought it was just really super nice. And it really helped cohese and get some of our stuff together. Oh, Carrie, thank you. Carrie, sorry that I went without anything to drink. But you know what? I'm not sad or anything. It was a short time period, and the company was fantastic. It was great. You know what, guys? I forgot an ingredient. I was supposed to add chocolate chips in there. So, these are chocolate chipless cupcakes. That's all right. They seem to be pretty good without it. I'm not going to worry about it. And that actually is probably better. I don't always enjoy chocolate chips in my baked goods anyways, so that might be why I left them out. But these are definitely done. I can see them from looking at them. Let me put my towel down. And it's just in the nick of time. Let's see. Check these out. I'm going to burn my fingers. Maybe. All right. I will get one unmolded so I can show it to you up close. And Carrie says I could just eat the chocolate chips. And Visual Keto's got a good idea. I could add them on top to melt it. But hot, guys. Just trying to get one unmolded so I can show you the whole cupcake, but they're still soft. They kind of need to cool a bit. All right, just give me a second here to run this around the edge so I can. They're too soft. They need to cool so they can. Air fryer Andy, push up from the bottom. I'm scalding my fingers. Or I would push up from the bottom. Here we go. I just need to go around the edge. Hot. All right. Hang on just a second. I'm coming around. I probably should have tried to find a plate that wasn't black. Check it out, guys. It is definitely cupcakey. I'm gonna burn my fingers some more and break it open so you can see the inside. Oh yes, it's cake. Check that out. Perfect. All right, so a winner, another winner recipe for her. They are definitely cupcakey and awesome. Let's blow on it. Oh, and J-Dog, thanks for reminding people. So, oh, and Pumpkinator says, poke a few in the center for a melty middle. You know, I'm actually just good without those. I have my peanut butter frosting. We'll taste it two ways. I'm going to put a dollop of this on here and it's too hot for frosting, but we don't care. And we'll do two things. First, I'm going to taste a bite of it here. Just plain. Susie says, wow, they're more cakey than she thought they would be. Yeah. They're good. I find them plenty sweet. I find them very sweet. But I can see where some people would think they're not sweet. And Carrie says he just hit the like button 5 million bazillion jillion times. And I appreciate it. Thank you. Mm. Oh, these are dangerous. Another winner from Carol. Mm. These are going to be problematic. Now I'm going to taste it with my frosting. That's a winner. I will keep this recipe and I will be glad to take it. I would take these to regular people's parties. They are so good. I'm glad that I decided to make them tonight. And with that, we have hit our 7:30 p.m. So I look forward to seeing you. I'm sorry that y'all aren't quite as nerdy as I am. Because, oh, and J-Dog, the link to the recipe is in the description. So as soon as this posts, it will be there. And so you can click right through to it. Oh, and Air Fried Annie says we can cut the cupcakes in half and put the frosting in the middle. Oreo-ish cupcake. Yes. So, anyways, you know, I'm sorry. If I wish that a couple more of you were anime people so that you could come to this convention. It's going to be awesome. We have so many cool things. We have a whole arcade that gets set up in the convention center. We've got photographers. We're having, as you know, we have Switch tournaments. We made ourselves a Magic the Gathering Power Cube. We've got a Starfinder author who is running the Starfinder RPG. As far as nerd stuff goes, man, we are off the cuff. Plus, we've got tons and tons of anime talents, professionals and guests. Some of them from, quite a long ways. There's going to be a drag show. Man, I am so hyped up already now for it. So I can hardly wait. And J-Dog says he's an Uber nerd, just not the driver sort. Yes. And the warden says if she was in Ohio, she would go to that. Yes. And Pumpkinator says the same thing as Air Fried Auntie, that I was supposed to pull it apart and put the frosting in the middle. That would have made more sense. But I did not. And Pumpkinator said she would go if she was there. Yep. And Jackie says her 17-year-old loves anime. Her limit was Digimon, Pokemon, and Avatar. Listen. You should bring your 17-year-old to OhioCon. The tickets, it's $80 for the whole 4 days. It's amazing. It's worth it. And your 17-year-old would freaking love OhioCon. And Marion, you do not have to be an anime fan to love OhioCon. Yes, it's gaming, anime, and pop cultural exchange, and with a Japanese cultural exchange as well. So you have we have a maker's lab, so you can do 3D printing. Like I said, I have a board game library there, so you can play role-playing games, card games. There's hundreds of board games to check out. We have educational learn to play. The Ohio Kimono Society sells kimonos, but also teaches about the kimono and the culture surrounding it. So, yeah, pretty cool. And Air Fried Annie says she'll stick to keto and scrapbook retreats. You say that, but eventually I'm just going to have to convert you a little bit. I'll send you some stuff to watch that will give you the feels. So. Oh, and Carrie liked Dragon Ball. Yeah, it's older now, so they do. And J-Dog loves Studio Ghibli. Studio Ghibli that is gorgeous. Spirited Away is actually my very favorite. It's got a lot to it. I love it. So. And Air Fry Nanny says she'd probably have fun at an anime con. Yes, I know you. I know you would. Also, like I said, if nothing else, in the Maker's Lab, where you would probably meet other scrapbookers. Marion, you don't want to leave the nice, warm, comfortable weather to come to the frozen tundra of Ohio? I don't understand why not. I wouldn't either. And Air Fry Nanny says she used to watch Airbender with her nieces and nephews. You know, we were actually talking about that last night. Avatar. All right. It's late. Well, it's not really late, but I am ready to go and kind of relax and try and get some rest tonight and recover for work in the morning. I'm going to tear down the keto crate, which arrived today. So, you know, it's only a little bit late in the month for it to arrive. I'm sure other people have already ripped it open and seen everything inside, but I love to open that. That's my favorite thing to do. So, you guys, you have a great night, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Oh, the warden says there's an Oddities and Curiosities event coming here next month. That looks fun. They come to Columbus. We've been there. It is a good show. So, all right. Good night, everyone, for real.